מזמור לדוד, אדוני אלוהי לא יחסר, בנוטש ירביצני, על מי מנוחות ינהלני. נפשי ישובב, ינחני במעגלי צדק, למען שמו. גם כי אלך בגיא צל מוות, לא ירא רע, כי אתה עמדי. שבטך ומשענתך, המה ינחמוני, תערוך לפני שולחן נגד צורריי. דשנת בשמר ראשי, כוסי רוויה. אך טוב וחסד ירדפוני כל ימי חיי, ושבתי בית אדוני לאורך ימים.
A Psalm of David. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He has me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside the still waters. He guides me on paths of righteousness. He revives my soul for the sake of his glory. Though I walk in the valley of the shadow of death, I fear no harm, for you are with me. Your staff and your rod do comfort me. You set a table in sight of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil. My cup overflows. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall abide in the house of the Lord forever. Adonai natan v'Adonai lakach, Yishem Adonai mevarach. The Lord has given, the Lord has taken away. Blessed be the name of the Lord. We're gathered together today to express our deep abiding love, to pay honor and respect, and to say goodbye to our dear beloved Lyuba, who has been taken from us. Our hearts are heavy with grief, and a veil of tears covers our eyes. It is difficult to lose a mother, grandmother, great-grandmother. Our minds are flooded with memories, gratefulness for the gift of her presence. With the sadness is mingled the joy of the good times that were shared, the lessons and the legacy she leaves behind. We gather together today to honor Lyuba, but also to draw strength from each other and from memories of her. I'd like to call upon 3 grandchildren who are going to share their thoughts and memories now. Rita, Marina, and Isaac. And Alex, and Alex.
I want to sincerely thank everyone that made it here today to celebrate the life of my dearest Lyuba. Yes, Lyuba. It might sound odd, but my brother and I would call my grandparents by their first name. When I realized this was not the norm, I asked her why she prefers me to call her that. And she tells me, "Фу, Lyuba красивее, чем Baba," which means, Lyuba's a prettier name than Baba. So from then on, I stopped asking questions. Lyuba's personality was one like no other, valuing hard work, education, and family. She taught me that it's important to reap the benefits of hard work by taking care of yourself, looking your best, and taking good care of those around you. Her zest for life was infectious. No matter the circumstance, she was always put together with her best outfit and ready to take on the day. She did not let her language barrier set her back from anything, including taking the RTA to Randall Mall because her neighbor told her that they were having a great sale, or bragging about her grandkids in the elevator to the neighbor when all he asked was, "Is the mail in yet?" Lyuba and I shared countless memories together. My grandparents lived at the Schnerman House in Mayfield, so we would always shop at Eastgate Plaza. When I say always, I mean it. Nothing stopped us from going on a Target run. Not even an ice storm. Not even a sheet of ice that was covering all of the pavement. We had to hold each other up because we kept slipping and sliding on our way there. But we had no choice. It was the day after Valentine's Day and all the chocolate was on sale. I loved spending every moment and weekend with her before leaving for college. Aside from my parents and my brother, she really was my best friend growing up. All of my cousins and I never doubted the love she had for us, but we knew that she loved our significant others even more. I will never forget when she first met Bobby, she gave him the biggest hug and could not stop laughing. I told her, "Grandma, let him go. What's so funny?" And she says, "He's so soft and cuddly." She loved when people were smiling and laughing, and that's something that Bobby does enough for the both of us. She loved raving about Dan's handiness around the house, and how loving and beautiful Rochelle is, and how she complements the family so perfectly. And Isaac, I'm almost positive that her and Grandpa are looking down and they're going to find you the perfect one. I'm almost positive all of us up here will smile every time we see a drumstick ice cream cone, or conas as my grandma would call them. Every time any of us would come over, she would run to the freezer and grab them for us. And if she was out, she would call my dad or aunt every day until they took her to buy more, because it was a tragedy in their house if they were out of ice cream cones for their guests. Lyuba, I love you. I will love you forever, and I promise your legacy will live on for generations to come. I promise to you that I will smile more, take care of my parents and family as the years go on, and be the best version of myself. All of us cannot thank God enough for all the memories we shared. Keep Zama company, but please don't nag him too much.
Rita already talked about a lot of the qualities about my grandmother, but she really is the most graceful and elegant person I think that any of us have ever met in a lot of regards. She has fought a lot. She's a fighter, but much like my grandpa always worked really hard to make things better, she always worked really hard to make things look like they were better, and she always accomplished that. She never showed her sadness. She never showed any pain. Even the last time that me and Rita spent with her, we took her to get a haircut. And even though she was in pain, she didn't say no. She was actually very happy to go get this haircut and just make herself look put together and really just be strong and power through everything that she could. And it really does set an example for all of us, for our parents, and for her grandkids, that the elegance and grace that she has is definitely what she will be remembered by, and what I will remember her by, and what I love her for.
So I stayed up all night trying to find words. And the only thing that kept coming to my mind is, I can tell you, she's really annoyed. I didn't buy a new outfit for this, but my jewelry's on point, so I think she'd be okay with that. I tried to think of a story, or what sticks in my mind, or it's too many. For somebody who saw their grandparents several times a week, there's too many stories to tell. When she got sick, the one thing she wouldn't let me do is hug her. She had this whole thing about She thought the medicine would get from me to her by hug, and that was going to affect me because it made a lot of sense. But before that, when I would hug her, I would always tip her back, and she'd laugh really loud because every single time. So she let me hug her a month ago. Not in the same way, but at least that's something. We're gonna miss you so much. We just will.
I think for us, this moment is tough because this is the last grandparent, or for at least for on my side, that I had. And when we came here 26 years ago, our little family, they were the connection to our family heritage. And so over the last 4 months, we've lost my grandmother, we've lost my grandmother, and I think what makes it tough is, in many ways, we've lost some of that connection that we had when we came. I know that she's been fighting for the last, God knows how long, 6, 7 years. It's not been easy. So I hope, бабушка, что ты увидишь деда и наконец-то будешь хорошо себя чувствовать.
Marina, Alex, Rita, and Isaac, your words touch us very deeply. You spoke with such beautiful love and emotion about your beloved grandmother and what she meant to you, the significant role she played in her life, the love that she gave to each of you. I know this is a hard day for you as it is for the whole family, and our hearts go out to you. Lyuba was a loving, devoted, caring mother to you, Dusi and Vlad, to you, Gennady and Sophia. A loving grandmother to you, Marina and Dan, to you, Alex, to you, Rita and Bobby, and to you, Isaac. And a proud, loving great-grandmother of Ben and Evan, a loving sister to Lyuba, a loving wife to Demyan of blessed memory. And it's not so many months ago that the family said goodbye to Demyan. And so I know that this loss is especially hard, doubly hard, because one comes on the heels of the other, having lost them both so close to each other. You all loved Lyuba in life, and now we're left to revere her memory in death. We pray that God send you all comfort and healing and strength, and that through your memories of her, she always is present in your life and in your heart. Lyuba was born in Belarus in 1936. When the war started, you shared with me that her family was evacuated and ended up in Kazakhstan, where her mother worked in a military factory. After the war, they came back to Belarus. 2 of her brothers died during the war. Only one survived. Lyuba graduated high school and at the age of 18 married her beloved Zalman, who was 10 years her senior. She loved, you said, that he was a tough guy. He spent 10 years in the military. Yet for all of his toughness, it was Lyuba who wore the pants in the family. She ran that home. She also started working, and shortly afterward had her first child, Eudosia. The two of them were married, Kinahora, for 64 years. That's a lifetime together. A lifetime of love and companionship. A lifetime in which they shouldered many challenges in life, but also shared in many blessings and built this extraordinary family filled with love. Theirs was a typical Jewish family. There was, you said, a lot of yelling, but then the grandchildren said, well, more like bickering. It was a love-filled kind of fighting and disagreement. They loved each other, in fact, very deeply, and stood by each other. And I know that Zalman's passing was itself very hard for Lyuba. Lyuba was a strong woman, a leader who fought for herself, for her family, who overcame many obstacles in life. She loved life. She loved to shop. She liked to dress well, never jeans or tennis shoes. She was always dressed up, always with her hair done just right, with makeup and jewelry. Even in Belarus years ago, not a single weekend went by that she didn't have her hair done. And you shared with me that to keep her hair just right, she would sleep not on a pillow, but instead would rest her head on the hard wooden rail on the side of the bed. I don't know too many people who would do that. Lyuba was a hard worker who believed it was important for women to work and be able to support themselves and have some degree of independence. She worked as a bookkeeper doing payroll in the food industry for her whole life, working for many different companies over the years before retiring and coming to the States with the family. And in fact, Marina, you shared that after you gave birth, she told you, you have to go back to work. And she always pushed that she wanted her grandchildren to marry, but she also wanted you to work and have careers. She wanted you each to be able to be independent. Lyuba was very well connected. She knew everybody. She always said she did not have many friends, but Gennady, you said to me, if she didn't have many friends, she sure had an awful lot of acquaintances, because she knew everybody, and everyone was, in fact, her friend. They were all her friends. Dosia and Gennady, you were essentially raised in Belarus by your grandparents because both of your parents were working full-time. But you share with me your deep appreciation that they both worked because they wanted to give you a good life, and they were very good providers for you. They gave you a good home, and they made sure you got a good education, including making sure that you went to university and that you received a degree that would help you establish lifelong careers to in turn support your own families. For you, Dosia, that meant becoming a pharmacist, and for you, Gennady, becoming a mechanical engineer. She instilled in each of you her strong work ethic. She taught you to value work as a way of taking care of those you love. You shared that you have wonderful memories of family trips to Moscow and Moldova, and of when your cousins will come to visit you in the summer from Kursk. And you also shared your memories of all those parties your parents hosted in the 70s and the 80s, when your home was filled with people. As you put it to me yesterday, in 1992, the whole kibbutz came to Cleveland, 11 of you all together. Your family was part of the mass exodus of Jews from the former Soviet Union that followed the opening of the gates before its collapse. You came here to escape the scourge of anti-Semitism there, and you came for economic opportunity. And the Jewish Federation helped settle your family here, but such a major upheaval is hard for anyone, let alone for someone of your parents' and grandparents' ages. They settled your family into 3 homes in different parts of town here. And you did not have a car, so you had to walk across town from one home to the other. It was a hard transition. But your parents worked hard to adjust, just as they had worked hard their whole lives in Russia. Lyuba stayed home and took care of her mother, who was 92 at the time. while Zalman went to work with Rabbi Kaysen slaughtering chickens on Coventry. Lyuba was very private, and she changed her lifestyle at this point. She preferred just being home with family, though she did have a small group of friends with whom she would talk on the phone or gather to play dominoes. And she loved helping take care of her grandchildren, who brought her so much joy. And she did what grandmothers do best. She worried about them. Marina and Dan, Alex, Rita and Bobby and Isaac, you always knew how much she loved you. She loved to brag about her grandchildren and their spouses and her great-grandchildren. She did not know a lot of English. When someone came to speak with her and she couldn't quite understand what they were saying, she would respond with, "Yeah, I have grandkids." And she would give their names, their colleges, and their occupations. In the same way she bragged about her great-grandchildren. She loved you deeply, even if sometimes she had a weird way of showing it. She would question what you were wearing or show concern about your laundry. And she would sometimes play you off against each other. She would tell Marina that Rita had taken her to this amazing restaurant. And then Marina asked Rita, and it turned out it was Chipotle. Or she would tell Rita that, well, Marina bought me the best perfume. And it turned out it was what was left over in a bottle from Victoria's Secrets. She just wanted each of you to love her, and she would urge you to do things to show her that love. And she cherished all the time that she could spend with you. You shared memories of spending time in upstate New York in your grandparents' timeshare. Rita, you said you loved those summers because you had freedom to do whatever you wanted. Your grandmother loved interacting with all the other Russian Jews who were there, as well as with the Orthodox Jews who spoke Yiddish. And Marina, you shared your memories of the family's summer house on the lake in Russia, where you would all go on weekends. Once you shared, when you were there, you picked all these weeds outside the house, and your grandmother came out of the door screaming. Those were not weeds. They were the flowers she had just planted. In later years, she would remind you of that. She would call all of you all the time. She knew all your phone numbers and all your birthdays by heart. She was very good with numbers. And Lyuba loved Vlad and Sophia, Dan and Bobby as her own children and grandchildren. You were precious to her. Rita, you shared, she would sometimes ask you what you cooked for Bobby. Did he eat it? Did he like it? Once you said, no, I put in too much pepper. And she said, why did you do that? And she would tell you all not to fight with your spouses, although that was a little ironic. Even here in Cleveland, she was very independent. She loved going to the malls, Beechwood Place, Randall Park in Northfield, and Tower City. She would figure out how to use the RTA and travel all over by bus. In those days, there were no cell phones, and so no easy way to communicate with someone if the need arose in an emergency. But she didn't mind. She was fearless. Everybody knew her at the stores and at the malls that she frequented. The folks at the grocery store all knew her well. She would have some trouble communicating because she did not speak a lot of English. But she would use the English she knew, and she would mix in Yiddish and Russian, never mind whether the other people understood those languages. And she did not like to rely on others. So if you were there and tried to help by translating, she would cut you off, insisting on finding a way to communicate herself. Once you shared that she was with a young doctor, and she talked to him in Yiddish. She said, he's Jewish, he knows Yiddish. You said, he's 32 years old, he doesn't know Yiddish. She was always very honest and straightforward in her speech, never thinking about what she said. There was no filter. Once in the Catskills, you shared that a man came over and said, don't I sing beautifully? And she said, you sound like a beast. But she always spoke with love. She was a great cook. And you all loved her gefilte fish, her chicken roll, her blintzes. She was an especially good baker, and she made the most amazing yeast hamantaschen and a very special honey cake every Rosh Hashanah. In Belarus, you used to hand out pieces of that honey cake to friends and neighbors who would offer you the same in return as you wished each other a sweet new year. Lyuba was a very spiritual individual, and her Judaism played a very important role in her life. Her parents were very religious. Her life revolved around the rhythm of the holidays, looking forward to each coming holiday, needing to shop and prepare the food for those meals. She would say, Passover is coming, you have to take me to the West Side Market to get my fish. Her home was filled with pictures of the Rebbe, and she was always talking to God and praying. She was a proud Jew, never afraid to show her identity. Lyuba was strong and opinionated, a leader who led this family and cared deeply about, took care of, and protected this family. And who stood up to every obstacle that she faced in life, always pushing forward and overcoming. Whether it was the challenges of the war, or coming to America, or fighting the cancer that she was diagnosed with in 2012. 7 years she battled that cancer. 7 years she was here to be with you because you were important to her and she was not ready to leave. She wanted every moment she could have with each of you. She never talked about hardships. That was never her style. She taught you that life goes on and you have to worry about the now. She taught you the challenges only make you stronger. And she leaves you a beautiful legacy. She taught you to be proud of who you are, to work hard but also to enjoy life, to take care of yourself and take care of each other, to face each day with joy and optimism, and to be, as one of your grandchildren just said, the best version of yourself. It's hard to believe that she is gone now. And I know that her passing leaves a great void in all of your lives. But I hope those lessons are always with you, and that you always feel her presence in your heart, always carrying her with you. May God watch over her soul, and may her memory be for a blessing. We rise now for the memorial prayer.
Eloha selichot, chanun verachum, erech apayim verav chesed, hametzei chaparat pesha, vekravat yesha menucha nechona, tachat. כנפי השכינה, במעלות קדושים טהורים, כזוהר הרקיע מזהירין, הנשמעת ליבד יצחק, שלך לעולמם. ענה בעל הרחמים, זכר לה לטובה כל זכויותיה וצדקותיה בארצות החיים. ופתח לה שערי צדק ויורם, שערי חמלה וחנינה. בשדה כנפיך הסתיריה לעולמים, וצרור בצרור החיים ונשמתם. אדוני הוא נחלתם, ותנוע בשלום המשכבה, ונאמר אמן.
God of forgiveness, you who are gracious and compassionate, patient and abundantly kind, we pray that you grant infinite rest in your sheltering presence among the holy and pure, to the soul of our beloved Lyuba who has gone to her eternal home. O merciful one, we ask you remember all the worthy and righteous deeds she performed in the land of the living. May she find perfect peace in your eternal embrace. May her soul be bound up in the bond of eternal life. May the Lord be her portion. May she rest in peace. And let us say, Amen. Interment will follow at Mount Olive Cemetery.